In this video, we'll be going over IRS Notice CP01S. So this is the notice from the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, that they received your identity theft affidavit, also known as IRS Form 14039. So all of these videos that we've done with different notices that start with CP01 kind of have a common thread where there's some aspect of identity theft involved. Either the IRS isn't sure, the IRS thinks that there might be suspicious activity related to either your tax ID number or your account. This notice actually ascertains that the IRS received your identity theft affidavit. So we'll go through this, kind of cover some of the things that you should pay attention to, and then talk about some of the resources that you may have access to because of the IRS and their focus on identity theft. So at the top right corner, as with all of the notices, you should see the type of notice, CP01S, the tax year, the notice date. In most cases, the notice date has some impact. If there's a due date, if there's a deadline, it's usually tied to the date of the notice. So I always try to point that out for people to pay particular attention to. Just below that, you should see your tax ID number and then a phone number to contact the IRS. On the left-hand side, you'll see your information, the taxpayer name and address. And as I usually do, I'll point out the importance of maintaining your address with the Internal Revenue Service. So one thing that I uncovered as I was going through these different notices, trying to understand them for listeners and viewers, is that an aspect of identity theft and getting ahead of it is when you do report it, you should have the ability to communicate with the reporting bureaus, with the IRS, with the Social Security Administration, with those institutions that are trying to do their best to safeguard your identity. And something as simple as updating your address could mean a big difference in your ability to do that. So, if you don't keep your address up to date with the IRS, then you don't receive these notices, and you may be at risk of losing out on something that either was a corrective action that you should have taken the opportunity to do, or because of the identity theft issue, you may be in some sort of tax trouble. For example, a common scam that the IRS tries to warn taxpayers about is when someone steals your Social Security number and they use it to file a fraudulent tax return. They often pad that tax return with inflated, unrealistic deductions, tax credits, adjustments to income, all designed to produce the largest tax refund possible. So they get a check, and by the time anyone figures it out, the IRS, by the time you as the taxpayer figure it out, the IRS could be on you to fix your tax situation, which now also includes maybe owing a tax balance. So it is important, if for nothing else, to keep your address up to date with the IRS. So every year when you file your tax return, that's a simple and automatic way to do that. If your tax return address is different from your prior year, the IRS will update their records accordingly. If you call the IRS and verify your identity, that's another way that you can update your address. You can also file IRS Form 8822, or if you're a business owner, IRS Form 8822-B for your business. And that is another way that you can update your address. So we'll put links in the show notes to all the forms that are mentioned here for resources that we've created. So let's take a closer look at the rest of the letter. which is pretty straightforward, but it does have some resources that you may be interested in. So on the left-hand side, it tells you what the IRS is doing. There's some fluff language about how committed they are. They do ask for up to 180 days to process your case. Not that they're going to find the criminal, not that they're going to do anything, but that's going to be the period of time that it will take for them to investigate your specific tax issue to see what needs to be done. So if there's a refund that you're due, they'll issue that refund after they've processed your case. So you don't necessarily need to worry about your refund going to the wrong party if this is on file. You don't need to do anything unless the IRS contacts you down the road. So this is a heads up. What you need to do, keep up to date on your taxes. If you have a balance owed, pay your account. If you have an installment agreement, keep making those payments. And then basically some additional material in the case you're interested in learning a little bit more. So what we'll do is we'll click this link to see if this is a broken link or not. So this one's not a broken link. Basically, it gives you a rundown of CP01. It looks a little bit different from the notice that we just read in that they may resolve your issue within 120 days, but because of COVID and even though it's some years after COVID-19 first hit the entire world, the IRS is still kind of facing a backlog on a lot of paperwork. So identity theft has increased a lot. And now they're saying that it can take up to 260 days or roughly 9 months to resolve identity theft cases. So this isn't the IRS sitting on their hands. This is literally just being overwhelmed with that many tax fraud issues. So there's no additional information really. Don't submit duplicate identity theft affidavits. They've already got your information. You can look through the IRS website to see, resources that might be available. You can also report your identity theft to the Federal Trade Commission as well as the Social Security Administration. You should follow up with the SSA to make sure that your earnings record is correct and that everything looks okay for that. And one option that may be of importance to you is you can actually get an identity protection pin or an IP pin. And what this does is it prevents someone from being able to use your social security number to file a fraudulent return. So in the situation I just outlined where someone's trying to pad up your return, if you have an IP pin on file, the tax return will not be accepted by the IRS unless you actually have the IP PIN and you enter it manually. It's a 6-digit number, and the IRS assigns a new IP PIN to each taxpayer once a year. So usually in the December-January timeframe, so that you can then have this information when you're filing your tax return. But that is one way to give yourself additional protection against the possibility of using your social security number to file a fraudulent return. So in short, if you get this notice, you don't really have to do anything. If there is anything that the IRS specifies, it's always under the what you need to do. And then they have listed resources of things that you can look for, government websites, things like that. So we'll put links in the show notes to additional resources we've created on these forms that we mentioned, articles and videos both. If you want to read an article, simply go to our website, teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in the IRS form number that you're looking for. So IRS form 8822 or IRS form 14039, and an article should appear. So if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or if there's a topic you'd like to see in an upcoming video, hit me up in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.